Hello, my name is Hassan, and in this video, I'll be talking about the implications that terms and condition agreements have on us as informed citizens. Terms and conditions are agreements that two parties enter so that a user can use a company's services. Terms and conditions agreements are not required by law, but it's highly recommended that every business has got one so that they can limit their liability as well as protect their company from potential abuses of future lawsuits. When users sign these agreements to gain access to the app, they are certainly aware they are signing a contract, but that there is a degree of ignorance about what constitutes privacy, and they do not know what their rights are being compromised. Reading the fine print of terms and condition agreements before you sign is something you should invest your time in, even if the documents are long and boring, because you will not be in the dark about the rights, and you will know if the app or website will control the information you put in. Generally, people don't feel like they have time to read through a 4,000-word contract, and they would rather just sign the agreement than finding out what they're agreeing to. I think this is because terms and condition agreements are very lengthy documents, and many of these documents are as long as Shakespeare plays, and they are written to be understood and used in court and not by your average internet user. Not reading these lengthy documents is understandable because they take a lot of time to get through, but not reading them could have a negative impact on you, and I believe that terms and condition agreements should be concise and straight to the point and have approachable language so that everyone could understand them. The agreement would usually include what will happen to the end user if they don't follow the rules and guidelines and if they abuse the app or website. An example of this would be the user paying a fine or them end up being temporarily or permanently banned from using the services. Having an IoT device in your household like a smart fridge or smart TV would require you to read 2,000 to 10,000 words of conditions before you can even use that device. The impact of this is that these smart devices could gather personal information when you connect them via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, and they do this without your knowledge because you haven't read the terms and agreements which state that they're allowed to gather personal information. This agreement will be less beneficial for the consumer because they won't be able to understand all the new terms and conditions that are constantly being updated and written by the complex features of the smart devices. These new agreements would be beneficial for the companies because they're going to include and update terms that would limit liability and help the company in any way. An example of this would be having an Amazon Echo or Google Home listening on our conversations and recording them. When the companies of these devices were asked why they were listening on private conversation and recordings, they said that they were doing this to help make their product better. The workers would listen to these recordings and listen out for mistakes and try to improve their software on their devices. A recent survey of 2,000 consumers was done by Deloitte, and they found out 91% of people consent to legal terms and conditions without reading them. The people aged between 18 and 34, their rate was higher, with 97% agreeing to the terms and conditions without reading them. The difference between the 18 to 34 age group and the overall statistics is that the younger age group uses social media a lot more and they don't bother reading the terms and conditions as it's faster and easier to accept so that they can use it as apps straight away. The impact on not reading the user agreement is huge because terms and condition agreements are an integral part of our daily lives, and the issue with people not reading terms and conditions is that they could be getting themselves into something they can't get out of easily, or end up paying money for something that they don't remember agreeing to. The younger age group don't consider the impact of what someone can do with their personal data and the damage that could be caused. This is a chart that shows the age ranges that use social media, and as you can see, the younger age range uses social media a lot more than the other ages. The biggest impact that terms and condition agreements can have in our lives is the release of any personal data or have the right to our data once we have agreed to their terms. The impact of this is huge because there are people in the business that gather, analyze, and sell your information, and they are called data brokers. Data brokers compile personal information from companies that are willing to sell your data for a price. The consent to share your data with third-party brokers may sneakily be included as one of the terms in the user agreement, and data brokers have recently found it hard to do their jobs because of the tightening of data protection and privacy laws around the world. When websites have right to our data, they usually save them on their server. This could have a negative impact on us because the hackers can get to that data and dox us. Doxing is when they publicly release someone's personal information without their knowledge or consent. Doxing could lead to identity theft, and this would have a social and cultural impact on the individual whose data data was stolen. Terms and conditions need to be fair, and that the way they would go about doing this is by striking the right balance of the rights and obligations of the business and customer, respecting both of their relevant interests. An unfair term would tilt the balance towards the business and to the disadvantage of the customer. An example of this would be the business increasing the price after the customer has already agreed to a set price. Fair terms would prevent disputes, save time, and protect your business, and it would be good for your reputation. This directly links with the Consumer Rights Act of 2015, and this law was introduced to simplify, strengthen, and modernize the law and give consumers several new rights and remedies. The impact of this law is that it helps the consumer with their rights when it comes to buying a product or using a company's services. Twitter's current terms and condition agreement reads in part, the form and nature of the services that Twitter provides may change from time to time without prior notice to you, and they may start providing the services or any features within the services without needing to notify the users. Twitter updates their agreements regularly, and once you agree to terms, they can always change the terms and conditions when they're updating their agreements. This is a concerning clause because it will give the company a lot of power, and the impact of this is that the users will need to comply by the new terms and that they are legally binding. Twitter has stated that in their updated agreement that the content you post will give them the right to use, copy, adapt, and distribute it. Personally, I've never sat down and read a full terms and condition agreement till now because I found out the kind of terms companies put in these agreements. My perspective on terms and conditions have changed a lot because I've gone from accepting every agreement to reading the clauses and subclauses of the agreements. It is better to have a key facts page which will let the user know what they can and cannot do on the website and the rights they have, without having to read the full agreement. In my spare time, I enjoy gaming and creating gaming content, and for many years I have been using the Ubisoft services and playing my games and creating my content on their software. Ubisoft updated the terms and condition agreement, and it stated that Ubisoft owns all user-generated content, and you must transfer all details and documents and other materials to them at any point if they request it. It also stated that any content you make or create that involves Ubisoft properties can be used by them in any capacity and does not need to be credited to you at any point. Ubisoft gave their consumers a deadline to agree to their updated terms, and if they didn't, they'd lose access to the company's services. When I tried to transfer my data to another gaming service, which was Steam, I lost a lot of my content. This clause about Ubisoft owning our content was deep hidden in the agreement, and once people found out about it, Ubisoft received a lot of backlash. Usually reading all the agreements of the services that I use would take a long time, but the website terms of service didn't read has made my life a lot easier. The aim of this website is to rate and label website terms and privacy policies from very good, which is class A, to very bad, which is class E. The website has rating on popular sites like Facebook and Wikipedia, and they highlight important clauses and key facts that you need to know about before using that service. Two of the services that I've stopped using because of this website are Facebook and Reddit. The reasons I've stopped using Facebook is that your identity is used in ads, which are then shown to other users, and it tracks you whilst you're on other websites. The reasons I've stopped using Reddit is that they hold a lot of control over what you do on the service, and they can delete your account without any notice, and also any content that you upload on the site. I miss using Reddit because I got a lot of my news from that app, and I was able to communicate with my friends and see content from my favorite content creators. But I don't miss using Facebook because there are better apps like Snapchat and Instagram. Towards the end of 2012, Instagram decided that they wanted to update their terms and conditions, and this really surprised their users. Many users were worried that the new update would give the platform the right to license their photos to advertisers with no compensations given to the photographers. This was around the time that I started to use social media, and Instagram was one of the first apps that I downloaded. My parents found out about Instagram updating their agreement because the story was all over the news, and Instagram received a lot of backlash and hate. I was not allowed to use Instagram on my phone because my parents were unsure what the platform would have done if I uploaded any pictures. Many users boycotted Instagram by closing their accounts and reporting them to the authorities until the company reverted to its previous terms and condition agreement. To conclude, it is very important to read terms and condition agreements because they tell you everything that you need to know before entering or using a site or application. Terms and condition agreements take a very long time to get through, but there are websites like Terms of Service that read that help the users see the different clauses and terms that different websites have. We should always protect ourselves and know that we are protected when we are on a website or app, and the best way to do it is to inform ourselves of our rights that are stated in the contracts. Thank you for listening.